Hello, 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 everyone. This is week 2 of the IACT IMDHA Presenters Series. I am your host, Michael Watson, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, Karen Hand. Say hello.
Hello, hello. Greetings from Chicago.
Coming from Chicago, yes, with that beautiful, beautiful background, by the way.
The beautiful Key West background, that's right.
So like Chicago. This is the second week of the Presenter Series, and the virtual chapter, by the way, is the host of the Presenter Series. I want to just mention the chapter because virtual chapter meets online once a month, the second Tuesday of every month. And this month coming up, I think we've got a really exciting one. We're going to be interviewing Anthony Jacquin. And if you don't know Anthony Jacquin, he's a fellow in the UK who started something called head hacking hypnosis a number of years ago. A lot of street hypnosis and performance hypnosis and stuff like that. These days, what he's doing is he's training mystery performers, which basically are people who do not only stage hypnosis, but mentalism shows and close-up magic and stuff like that. Of course, he believes that it is all hypnosis. And he's a talented therapist as well. His father, Freddie Jacquin, also some people in this call may know. Is an exciting character that we're going to have visit us later on down the line, but it's going to be wonderful. So so be sure and join us for that. So again, it's the second Tuesday of the month. That will be March 13th, and it's the same time as the call tonight. In fact, it's even the same login number as the call tonight. And if you want to get more information about that, there's a Facebook group simply called Virtual Chapter. And in that Facebook group, we announce all of the upcoming meetings, and we also post replays of them when they are over. So speaking of replays, we are recording tonight, and the replay of this call will be posted tomorrow on the IACT IMDHA forum. It will also be found on the IACT website and the IMDHA website under a drop-down tab called Conferences. And if you click on there and you go halfway down the list, it says Teleconferences. We've got to get them to understand that this is no longer a teleconference, but we are evolving. But that's where you can find it online. It will also be posted in the virtual chapter group on Facebook as well tomorrow. So you'll have a chance to, when you saw it, you will be so duly impressed, you will want to tell all of your friends that missed it that there is one more chance for them to see us, and that would be in one of those places that I mentioned. If you are a member of IACT or IMDHA, you are eligible to get credit for the time that you spend with us. CEUs are available. All you have to do is log into the website for the organization that you are a member of, and the box will come up that lets you enter your CEUs. So just tell them that you attended the presenter series and that you listened to Sherry Gilbert and Brice Eimer, and that you thought it was absolutely wonderful, and then you can claim an hour and a half's worth of credit for CEUs. So please do that. And I think
tonight, let me make one more announcement that tonight we will be muted as long as we're talking to our guests, but don't be afraid to ask questions. And you can do that by down at the bottom of your screen. You can go onto the chat box and type your question in, and we'll look at it. And if there's time at the end, we will actually open up the microphones at that point and let you ask questions if there's time at the end. But in the meantime, you can type your questions in, and we'll try to get those in for you.
All right. Well, that sounds exciting to me. So we are joined tonight by our wonderful guest, Sherry Gilbert. Sherry has been a presenter at the IACT IMDHA conference on a number of occasions for several years now, as a matter of fact. And she always does a great job. Her topic tonight is from scripted sessions to transpersonal sessions. But let me just tell you a little bit about her first, and then I'll let you see her and hear her, because seen enough of me, except this beautiful Daytona Beach, by the way, in the background, which is where we will all be getting together on May 18th, 19th, and 20th. And in fact, if you show up for Sherry's program, it'll be, Sherry, oh my gosh, you just the day before, you're 2 days, right? The 2 days prior to the weekend. So Wednesday and Thursday, the 16th and 17th. So make sure that you make your reservations early enough if you're flying in or staying in a hotel and whatever you need to do, so that you'll be there in time for Sherry's performance. Now, I didn't introduce you yet. look at what's happened. So Sherry has been a certified hypnotherapist and a relationship specialist since 2001. She is the founder of I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Illumilife. How did I do? All right, Illumilife, and is a faculty member for the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. She has a passion for teaching and for mentoring. She has created training programs for hypnotherapists to expand their skills and their practices that include transpersonal hypnotherapy, fertility, trauma release, and emotional divorce. She's proud to have received the 2016 Hypnotist of the Year Award from IACT, as well as the Chapter of the Year Award for the IACT IMDHA chapter that she co-leads. And by the way, Sherry, well done there. That chapter of yours really is quite a force in the in the world of hypno chapters. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of my whole chapter, thank you. We were really proud to receive that.
Yeah. Well, so here we are. And we are here, of course, for a couple of reasons, primarily to talk about things that are going on at the Expo so that people can understand a little bit about the course that it is you have to offer. But more than that, it's really nice to just be able to get acquainted with you and hear a little bit about that you can share about the work that you're doing that will be useful to folks on the call as well. So transpersonal, by the way, I'm on the way tomorrow to Los Angeles to the International Hypnosis Federation retreat, which is Shelley Stockwell's organization. And there's a whole lot of transpersonal hypnosis going on over there.
Yes, absolutely.
So why don't we just start out with terms for those who don't really understand it. Can you tell us a little bit about what is transpersonal hypnosis?
Transpersonal just means that the session is a conversation between the practitioner and the client's subconscious mind, and that might also include their body and their spirit as well. Just creating a free-flowing conversation between the client, subconscious, and the practitioner.
Well, that's lovely. in a nutshell. Well done. Well done. So, and it did something. I'm curious if there's a backstory here, Sherry, from you. That is there something that sort of switched you over or turned you over into this idea of, that you were working however it is you were trained to work, and discovered this transpersonal work and realized that that's what you needed to do or were called to do? Or what can you tell us?
I was very lucky in my original training. I received some training on doing interactive transpersonal sessions, and very early on, probably within the first month of being in practice after I got out of school, I recognized that it took way more time to organize and plan ahead to do a scripted session, because clients will come in and on the phone they told me they wanted to work on, let's say, weight, for example, and then they show up and what they really want to work on is the boyfriend they broke up with 10 years ago, and they're still in love with that guy. And so now I don't have the right script pulled, and I'm in trouble because I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I discovered it took no prep time to do an interactive session, and I got my clients to their goal so much faster, and that's a good thing. And the faster they get to where they want to go, the more they're sending people to you. So you stay busier because you've got so many more referrals coming in.
Yeah, this is I love this story because this is something that I've been telling people in classes all the time. Because I hope that they'll get it, and Sherry, you have this exactly same thing in your experience. There's a time in I think the life of most hypnotherapists when they're first starting out, when what happens, especially now, when I was first starting out, we had to, if we wanted to communicate with each other, we needed a chisel and a rock. But now email and all of this stuff and all the groups online, so people will post, I have a client coming in with this issue. Does anybody have a good script for that? And somehow or another, you get the idea early on that in order to be an effective hypnotherapist, you have got to know about every possible condition that could come through the door in great detail in order to be able to do the work. What an overwhelming burden that we had placed on ourselves until we recognized, I think, and I suspect this is where you're going, that the wisdom comes from the client. And so we can let them bring it in with them, and we don't have to carry it around all day.
Exactly. All I have to be really good at, and what I'm going to teach everyone to be really good at, is being comfortable just asking good questions. Oops, my computer's doing something funny here. Is just getting really good asking great questions, because they really do bring in all of the answers. And one of my favorite stories to tell about that is a woman that I worked with a number of years ago now, who, her backstory is so dramatic and has so much stuff going on with it that you think, you know, if you read this in a book, you think it couldn't be true. No one could have survived going through all of the things that she went through. And if I had just done scripted work with her, I would have thought, okay, I have to work through these 12 issues, and I've got to find scripts that allow me to do all of those different 12 issues. And in fact, what I ended up doing was one session, asked her subconscious what we most needed to heal, release, or resolve. And I had no idea what was going to come up with it. And I actually have it filmed, so I'll be showing this session in the class. And I don't know if you can see my computer's doing it. It's doing something wild right now.
We can certainly hear you. Are you being...
Yeah, okay. So hopefully everything's fine.
Facebook messages or something.
Okay. So anyway, so when I asked her subconscious that, it went to something I would never have even thought to work with. It was a story that she had told me about, but it was a story that I in no way would have thought was significant enough that it could have been impacting her. And so that's what we worked on, because that's what the subconscious brought up. And when we got done with that, this woman went back to school, got a new job. I hate to say, but she got divorced as part of this thing, but she was in a very bad relationship. So, I mean, she just really changed her life. And what's really fun about telling her story right now, and going to be showing her film at the conference, is that I ran into her just a few weeks ago, and I almost didn't recognize her. She's just glowing and living this incredible, powerful life. I like to call it the big, bold, beautiful life. And she's living that all because of this session. And we did do a couple of follow-ups after it, but this was the key point. And I would have missed it entirely. And we probably would have had some success, but not the roaring success that she got. And to me, those are my favorite stories.
Yes. Does it take a special kind of client to do this work with? Or is this valid for every client that walks through?
You know, it's valid for almost every client. A few clients are not comfortable speaking to you verbally in the session. I do run into that occasionally, so you can use idiomotor responding instead. But I use this with almost every client that walks in the door.
And do you set up those idiomotor responses regardless, or only if they're nonverbal?
I always set up idiomotor responses in the very first session, because people will spontaneously give me idiomotor responses that are sometimes in opposition to what their verbal responses are. So that gives me a clue that they're not giving me everything I need to, and I need to ask another question and then ask another question till I can get a verbal response and an idiomotor response that marry up.
And isn't that what you said exactly right at the beginning, was that you are communicating with their subconscious mind? You're not communicating with their conscious mind. You're communicating with something much deeper.
Yes, yes. And very often, if I'm getting a verbal response of, let's say, yes on something, and then no from an idiomotor responding standpoint, then I know that I need to just turn that session into some parts therapy.
You know, there's so many hypnotherapists who are just, I don't know if it's afraid or reluctant to do this kind of work. As you work with people and teach them how to do this, what do you find those limitations to be?
You know, really, you're right. It really comes down to being nervous or even afraid of, what do I do with the response? Because sometimes the response isn't what you're anticipating. It isn't what you're expecting. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense because I haven't asked the right question. It's not that their answer is wrong. It's that my question was wrong, and I just need to ask another question. So I give everybody some bridge phrases. They're the ones I use, and everybody will adapt them and find their own way to do it. But even something as simple as, tell me more about that, or let's just take a deep breath and sit with that for a moment and see what else comes to you. Or one of my favorites is, what would you like to do about that? And so here again, everyone thinks that they have to have the answer. If they say, boom, here's the situation, and this is, I got to figure out how to resolve it, you don't. Let's just sit and see what their subconscious wants to do. I might come up with this, you know, big to-do to work it through, and maybe the subconscious, and this happens a lot, just says, oh, I'm willing to get rid of it.
Well, you know,
cool, okay.
It's interesting to me that because I think some just as some of our clients, we in our pre-talk, we do everything that we can do to make them comfortable. And some of them are just even a little hesitant about hypnosis because they've got this idea that it's about being out of control. Obviously we're going to educate that, out of them. But I'm actually wondering, in a way, if some hypnotherapists don't shy away from this, because similarly, if they've got a script, if they've got a roadmap that says do this, 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 and now what we're suggesting is that it's actually possible. If you really believe in the unconscious mind, by the way, it's actually possible to be able to surrender to it and to just let it happen.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's understandable that people could be a little bit concerned about that. I'm so used to just being in control and doing my thing. But I think everybody goes into this work because they really do want the very best for their clients. And this is the fastest way to get your clients where they want to go. And I will tell you, it's way more satisfying. And it's so easy to do. I promise you that. It's really easy to do. I hope that everyone will come take my class. But if they can't, they can start with something as simple as, ask your client to, once they're in hypnosis, ask them to go to a favorite place or a relaxing place, and then describe that place to you. You don't know where they're going to take you, and then decide that you're going to do some form of releasing based on where they take you. So if they take you to a beach, what do you want to do for fun at the beach? One of the videos I'll show in the class is this gentleman took me actually to a park, and I said, tell me about the park. And he said, well, when I was a kid, I used to go to this park and I played Frisbee and I swam in the creek. And so I used the Frisbees as a way to throw away all the things that were bothering him and causing him stress and anxiety. And then we used floating in the creek to practice going with the flow and letting life just flow around him. And it was a great way to get the session started. And that's a great way to practice. We'll do that in the class as a way to kind of get our toes wet. But it's a great way for everyone to practice. If you've got a IACT or IMDHA chapter, gather up everybody and do some practice sessions, or a colleague that's close to you, and just play with it. Have some fun with it. It really is a whole lot easier than you think it is.
I dare say that it is a longer lasting process too, or a longer lasting session when they come up with their solutions, when they because you're watching them process and have their aha moments, and it wasn't handed to them. So there's no resistance. Why would they argue with themselves? They're having the breakthroughs.
That's exactly it. And at the end of the session, so often what you'll hear is, wow, that was so cool. I had no idea that's what was going on. And that just makes you so happy, because if they had no idea, then I wasn't going to have any idea. So getting their subconscious to talk to us makes all the difference in the world.
And if anybody's afraid of that, they still get the credit. If hypnotists want to get the credit of being the brilliant wizard, they still get the credit, because the clients still realize that they couldn't have done it on their own. They needed your help to get there.
I don't ever like to have the credit, actually. I don't know how everybody will feel about this or not, but I always turn the credit back around to them. I'm the guide, and that's all. And the great thing is letting them know that they could do this just on their own, and not on their own, but with me guiding them, and that they're really the person that had all this wisdom and brilliance inside of them, and that's a wonderful thing for them to get.
What's exciting about this to me is that I'm teaching a class, by the way, on the second day of yours. So I'm afraid that I'm not going to be there. But I'll tell you what. I mean, here we are getting ready for a convention and for all the great stuff that comes with the weekend of the conference. But how cool to spend 2 days, as I'm understanding your description at least, how cool to spend 2 days in something that really is experiential. I mean, they're going to be doing a lot of things as opposed to sitting and listening and Yeah,
it's very hands-on, very hands-on. I will demonstrate something or show a video on it, then we'll break out and practice it. And sometimes by taking each other into hypnosis, sometimes through role-playing, so that you'll have practiced it again and again and again and again before you leave. So I want everybody at the end of that to be completely comfortable and safe going home into their practice and doing transpersonal sessions.
Great, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, for God's sake, if you're coming to Florida, exploit that trip, extend it a couple more days, and and enjoy Sherry Gilbert in this wonderful program.
We'll have fun.
Who do you really want to target with this class? Who do you really see taking this class?
You know, really, the two groups that I usually see take this class are people that have been hypnotherapists for a long time, and maybe they've gone and they've taken Roy Hunter's parts therapy, and they've taken all of these really fun classes, but they've never gone back to their practice and put it to use. And then the other group would be very new hypnotherapists, right out of school, just getting their practice started, and just wanting to take it by storm. So either of those two groups, that's exactly who I'm looking to have in class.
Are either one of those groups any quicker at getting this, the newbies, as opposed to people who've been doing it for a long time? Is either one harder to reach or quicker to get it?
That's a great question, and I don't think so. I think that the way that I put it together, these 4 steps, we don't leave step 1 until everybody's comfortable. Then we go to step 2 and let everybody get comfortable, and so on, so that everybody feels really comfortable. If you just throw people in, so like what I was talking about of, taking a client into hypnosis and letting them tell you where they are, and then figuring out what you want to do that would be fun given the place that they are. That's one of the first steps that we'll do, and it's so much fun, and it's so easy to do. And so once you get over that little hurdle, the rest of it just seems really easy too.
You just said the most important thing, Sherry. You said, I'm not going to throw you out there without a life vest. I'm going to give you not a script, but steps or guidelines. And this is where you go, and this is where you go. You're not out there on your own. You're not having to think on your feet and, oh my gosh, what if I don't know what to do next? Here is your script, except it's not a script, it's some guidelines. And then the client gets to fill in all of that other stuff. And they give you so much more to go along the way.
Exactly. And then once they see how easy it is and how fun it is, all the rest of the steps are so easy. And I've never had anybody walk out of the class and not go home, because I check in, and not go home and actually put it to use.
Right. So is there a way that you could walk us through something, talk us through something? I know that we're kind of putting you on the spot here, but for heaven's sake,
Sure.
You do this every day. This is your specialty. So
Sure,
could
absolutely.
you take us through something to give us an
Sure.
example?
So I'm not sure exactly what you're wanting me to do, but let me just throw this out there and see if
Here's
it's on
what
the right track.
I want you to change all of us in the next,
Okay.
You've got 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. So close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. And I want you to imagine yourself in your favorite vacation place. And as you imagine yourself, I want you to notice what you can see. And now what you can hear. Take a deep breath and notice the smell of the air. And now walk down to something near you and put your hands on it and notice the texture of it and the temperature of it. And now, Karen, I want you to tell me a little bit about where you are.
Oh, did you direct that to me?
Yes, please.
I am just exactly where my backdrop is, in Key West, Florida. And in that garden, as a matter of fact, the air is so fresh, and I can feel the warmth in the air, not hot, but the warmth. And I can smell flowers. I believe I'm smelling lilacs. I don't know if lilacs grow there, but that's what I'm smelling.
Beautiful. And tell me how you feel there in Key West.
So peaceful, so content, so relaxed.
So I want you to take a deep breath, and I'm going to ask your subconscious to share with you, and then I'd like you to share it with me. Is there anything that you need in your life right now so that you can feel this content, this peaceful, that you can smell the lilacs every day? Just let that come into your mind.
A warmer climate in which to live.
So now take a deep breath, and I want you to sit with that. And I'd like your subconscious to share with you, is there something that you can do between now and when you can live in a warmer climate that would help you feel this good again?
Yes. I could do more of my wide awake meditation or thinking right here in front of this backdrop that I have with us, because that makes me feel so connected to Key West. Wow, Sherry, that was a great idea you had there.
So now I just want you to take another deep breath, and if there's anything at all that's standing in your way of actually making sure that that happens every day, just let it come into your mind, become aware of it. You don't need to share it with everybody. And if there's anything at all, just give me a yes or no answer.
Yes, I was standing in my own way by just not doing it. All I have to do is just decide and do it. So no, there's nothing else standing in the way.
Yeah, and your subconscious is committed to that.
Yeah.
So just take a moment, let all that sink in, and just feel so great and free. When you're ready, open up your eyes.
Now see how easy that was. And yes, it was a beautiful aha moment, Sherry. Thank you very much.
Very, very welcome.
Thing going on, but hey, I want to experience Key West every day, and so why not?
So I'd like to encourage everybody in the video or on the call right now, go practice that with somebody. It really is that simple, and something big might come up, and you'll just handle it just the way you would if you had a script.
But it's also a perfect way to lead somebody into resources that they have. If they want more confidence, you can lead them into that, and you can lead them into fearlessness of some sort. It's a great way to lead somebody into resources.
Exactly.
And that's not scary. That's not going down a negative path either.
No, it's very simple to do, very easy to do. Sometimes it's something that just cleans itself up in 5 minutes, and sometimes it leads me to, okay, I need to do parts therapy, or I need to do whatever. Doesn't mean I have to do it right then. I might do that in the next session.
Right. I'm sure this was a very positive experience. I'm guessing that it doesn't always go that quickly. Exactly. So about how long are your sessions?
I make sure that I have 30 to 40 minutes available. I don't always take that long, but I make sure that I have that much time. So the actual time that the client's with me is 90 minutes. So I can do a little coaching first, a little talking with them first, and have plenty of time in the hypnosis session. Sometimes I don't need the whole 90 minutes, but if I do, I'm glad I have it.
And so you're starting out with listening. You're starting out with getting some information, gathering, so that you can help them even more when you get into that actual session.
You know, one of the lovely things about hypnotherapy is that, you know, we can anchor in that the subconscious is continuing to change and heal and release whatever needs to be healed and released. In the time since the last time I saw them, that's been going on. So I don't know who it is walking in the door this next time, because they've healed, they've changed, things are new and different. So I can't ever plan from one session to the next what's going to happen. So I kind of sit in and do a mini consultation with them again, just to find out what's going on.
Yeah. Well, it's important to listen to them, is it not? It's important to let them, I mean, even their conscious mind called you and got them into your office in the first place. So why not use it too while it's there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, a huge piece of what we give them is the opportunity to speak truthfully and honestly, and to feel safe and comfortable doing that. And sometimes I learn something right then as they're talking to me that's like, wow, that changes everything that I had thought we wanted to work on in session.
And this is the kind of work I do every day, but I don't know that I've ever called it transpersonal hypnosis. So I'm really glad you defined that, because I guess in my terminology, I would have thought that a little more I hate to use the term woo-woo, and it's not. What you're doing is it's not spiritual hypnosis, although it's spiritual. It's not woo-woo hypnosis. It is very clinical, very, very good work to be doing.
You can get very spiritual with it. You can get very woo-woo with it. But honestly, you know, most of my practice doesn't always go that direction. So I love it when it does, but it can be any kind of session. It can be very left brain dominant, very didactic in nature. So, you know, it's because it's led by the client. It really depends on who the client is.
Right. And I hope no one took offense at me saying woo-woo. I say that in the most positive terms. I just was looking for a catch-all.
No, I think we all love the woo-woo. but this way, if I go into woo-woo, I know, or go into spiritual, or go into something like that, my client led me there, and I didn't make that choice. They made that choice, and that's a safer way to do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is so. Yes, woo-woo with the deepest of respect, from the great order of woo-woo. Sure. What I really like is at the basis of at least the stuff that I do. I have this notion that there is, and I keep saying it again and again, that there is at the center of our beings this brilliance that wants to emerge. Somehow or another, I think when what we do as hypnotherapists is we try to like put stuff in. It's kind of going about it backwards, and the work that I see that you're doing and talking about has a lot to do with drawing people out and bringing out what really comes from them in the first place. I actually was interviewed by Igor Ladakowski recently, and he's the conversational hypnosis guy, and I had to tell him one of the principles that I think is most important is that we need to learn how to stop making suggestions. It was a rather controversial statement for me to make. So I wonder, Sherry, if we've got a few minutes left before we switch over to the second half of the program. I'd like to invite people that are on the call, if they have any questions for Sherry, to let us know that. There's a couple ways to do it. You can use the chat box, as Karen mentioned earlier, and you can either write your question there, or you can even just say, I have a question. We'll know who you are, and we'll be able to open up your microphone, and then you can ask your question. And if you're on the telephone, by the way, if you press *9 on your telephone, what that does is it raises your hand, and it will let us know that you have something to say, and then we'll open up your mic, and you can ask your question that way. So
you can also go under the participants place there on the bottom, and you can raise your hand there as well. Click on that, and it'll allow you to raise your hand, and we can see that too.
There you go. See, so there's so many options, but whether you write it in the chat box or raise your hand, whatever you want to do. And here's what I noticed, Sherry, while we're waiting, is that I have an interesting question for you. That is, I wonder why it is that hypnotherapists are so slow to ask questions during a Q&A.
That's excellent. and isn't that the whole point of what I'm trying to teach everybody to do, is ask questions?
So here's your chance, boys and girls, and if you've got something for Sherry. Otherwise, we'll just keep asking her brilliant questions on our own. But we want to give you a chance to get your concerns and considerations. In the meantime, I might reiterate again on something that Karen was saying. I think that you are talking a bit, Sherry, about just doing something different than what's traditionally been done by us for centuries. And it might take a little guts for people to press out there. I also think that there are sometimes when clients don't understand, there might even be certain places in the country, like I'm thinking that's actually where hypnosis has trouble. I have a friend who's in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I remember him calling me and saying, I just can't get my practice going because I'm here in the Bible Belt, and and none of these people are open to hypnosis. Oddly enough, I've lived all over the country. I've never found that, but I think it has something to do with his expectations going out, and the particular community that he was interacting with.
Yeah, we all know law of harmonious attraction. What we expect to be true is of course true. And I did find that, because for about 7 years I was traveling around and teaching, and I did discover that in some areas in the U.S. and in some areas across the world, there are places where the training that they took got them very good at doing these interactive transpersonal types of sessions. And then huge pockets, it's one of the reasons I developed the class, huge pockets of places where anything beyond something super scripted and even not only scripted, but what script do I use in session 1 and what script do I use in session 2, that's what their training gave them. And I felt like that left them at such a disadvantage for having a successful career. And, you know, a lot of times we think the reason that my practice isn't busy is this or is that, but maybe it's because you don't have the right tools yet, and you don't have the right success rate yet. And everything that you learn when you go to conference, whether you take this class or anything else, just helps you. I'm always come back reinvigorated, re-excited, you know, just ready to go. And maybe it's even that I got reminded of something that I hadn't done in a while. And so it's why I developed a class, because people need that opportunity to revisit and relearn.
And isn't it so important for us to keep putting tools in our toolkit? Keep adding to it. It only improves our outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
I love going to conferences. A pet peeve of mine, I'll be honest with you, is people who go to conferences and only speak and never attend anything. When I go and speak, I also attend, because it could be the newest hypnotist on the block. I might pick up a tidbit that I can take back to my office with me. It's so
absolutely. We're one of the things my chapter is doing this year is helping some of our recent graduates, because we meet at a school. Our recent graduates get ready to be presenters, and so we've been having them practice their presentations to everybody in the chapter, and it's been great because I'm learning things from people who used to be my students. So it's phenomenal. So absolutely, go sit in. You know, sit in on somebody you've never heard of. Sit in on somebody that you know, you don't even understand what their topic is, because who knows what wonderful and exciting thing you're going to learn.
But then be sure and sit in on wonderful lectures with people like Sherry Gilbert, who have been doing this for a while. So, you know, we're going to find out your room and my room, Sherry, will be absolutely empty, but all of the newbies will just have tons of folks. Because, and I'll tell you what I think is cool about that. I'm glad you brought it up, Karen, is that I'll tell you what newbies have. And I hope nobody's offended by that word. I've seen some groups where they're like, well, you shouldn't. You know, I mean it in the nicest way. What they have is they don't have the scales on their eyes that some of us have developed through years of doing things the way that we've always been doing them. And they're looking at hypnosis. You remember when you were new to this and you were excited about it and everything that you looked at. I want to borrow that vision from time to time and maybe be reminded of some things or shown some new things that I've never seen before. So you're right about that. So
don't you remember your first day out or your first month or year out when you thought, I've got this new thing and it can do everything. I can do anything with this. Mm-hmm. And then you start finding out, well, maybe it doesn't work so well for that or that, until you get more tools, and then you can, right?
Yeah. And that's what I hope for all the newer practitioners who come to the conference is that they recognize that it's something they should do every single year. You know, there's no need to ever stop learning and growing and doing. You know, if I walk away with 3 things, you know, whether they're big or small, every second that I was there, every cent I spent was well worth the investment.
Plus, in between sessions, you're networking with people. You're talking with people and picking up different ideas and looking at different workbooks and looking at all kinds of stuff and just getting to know people. Someone that you might be able to call next week or in 2 months and say, hey, I've got a question about this. I saw that you did this.
Yeah, I've connected several times over the year with people that I met at last year's conference. Either we sat next to each other at lunch or we sat next to each other in a workshop, or maybe they came to, you know, one of my workshops, you know, but you connect with them and it's just great to have this nice little community. We sit and talk to people all day long, but who do we talk to about our challenges in our businesses and our challenges in our lives? And that's such a huge resource that we don't always have. So particularly if you don't have, you know, your own IACT IMDHA chapter near you, you know, of course you can go do the virtual one, but create this little community for yourself. Go specifically with the intention of meeting 6 new people so that you can, use WhatsApp and stay in touch with them on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I know that I'm connecting with, I'm connecting with other hypnotists every single day, and because I've been involved in the associations that I have for as long as I have, I know everybody, which I'm just thrilled with. And some people really keep themselves away from all of that. It is the blessing that I really cherish the most. I know that there's people out there who can support me, or if I have questions or come up against something that's new and challenging, and what a wonderful extended family that we create. And a conference like IACT and IMDHA, I think, is just the right size for that kind of thing. That and by the way, we also can't forget the wine. Another nice benefit, at least for me, is the evenings. Just visiting over a glass of wine and being casual with folks that that are colleagues in our work.
And Michael, we do have a hand raised. It's on the phone. I can't unmute them, so.
I'm glad that you saw that. Let me.
Yeah.
Whoa. Why am I? Oh, here we are. All right, you are unmuted. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, it's Jessica in Minnesota. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just a quick question, Sherry. I'm wondering, have you used this, like just that little example, for like a weight loss client, for just kind of getting them to open up as like a first session icebreaker for them, or just strictly for if you're stuck and don't know where to go with them?
I use it for everything. So absolutely, if I had a weight management client come in, first session, one of the first things I do is I take them into hypnosis. I ask them to take me to someplace they want to go. Instead of me saying, oh, let's go to a waterfall or let's go here, I ask them to take me someplace that they want to go, and get them really grounded and connected into that place. And then just start asking their subconscious, what is it that they want to create? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And then what do they need to get there? And what do they need to let go of to get there? And that's a great first session. So yeah, absolutely. Anybody that walks in the door, use that.
Okay, thanks.
Lovely.
Great question.
That was an excellent question.
Yes.
And, Sherry, we are, I'm afraid, running to the end of our time already. See how quickly it goes when you're having fun.
Well, thank you for making it so easy.
Well, thank you for making it so easy.
Yes. And transpersonal.
Yes.
we really appreciated that. So just for the heck of it, we hope that you'll stay around, Sherry.
Yes, absolutely.
Next segment with Bruce here in a couple of minutes. But there is something that we always do, and I think we can do it at the end of both segments, because we want people to have an opportunity to tell you how much they appreciate you and you spending the time with us to share your story and your program. So just to be wild and reckless, I'm going to end the segment by opening up all of the microphones. So in the great cacophony that follows, everybody can wish Sherry Gilbert well and thank her for being here. So thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
You're all so welcome. That's lovely. Thank you.
All right, and once again, everybody is muted except for, at the moment, myself and Karen. And in a minute, Brice Eimer will be joining us, and we are beginning segment 2 of this evening's program. Our guest for the second segment is going to be Dr. Brice Eimer. We are going to be talking about chronic pain and using hypnotherapy and mindfulness for attaining chronic pain, which is the program that he's doing. I do want to make, in this interim here, though, the basic announcements once again for people who have maybe just joined us or joined us halfway through the call. And that is to remind you that this program is being recorded. You can hear it again tomorrow, hear and see it again tomorrow. It'll be posted on the IACT IMDHA forum for members. It's also posted on the IACT and on the IMDHA websites under the tab at the top of the page that says conference. If you just go down the tab, you'll see teleconferences. There's a list of all of the programs that we're going to have, and the ones that have been posted are, well, they're blue now, so that you can click on them and you'll hear the recording. I think that one actually gets posted a couple of days from now. I don't put it up. I send it to the guy, and he puts it on the web. So 1 or 2 days from now, it will be in the forum. Boy, I'm making a promise here. It will be in the forum tomorrow. I'm leaving in the morning, so I got to take care of this stuff tonight. It'll be in the forum tomorrow, and it will also be posted on the virtual chapter group on Facebook as a replay, so you can see it there, and you can let your friends know that that's where it is. You can send them a link, and they can hear what Sherry has had to say, and then they'll also get to hear what Brice Eimer has to say. So in a moment, well, I think I should probably do it now. Oh, good. Brice, your microphone is open. Say hello so I know that you're there.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello. We are so
Karen, hi, Sherry.
We are so glad to have you with us, Brice. This is I believe, the second year that I have introduced you pre-conference, and by the way, if you can see me flipping crazily here, I'm looking for your bio.
I'm looking for my bio.
well, aren't we all? Two gentlemen in pursuit of biographies. So I'll tell you what I just like to say about you, rather than thumbing through the papers, and that is, I've known you for a few years. You really brought something to the organization, the association. I know you've been involved with Roy Hunter, who is a favorite of so many people here, in terms of connecting with the official medical or therapeutic communities, which we really thank you for being that bridge, which is so important for us to establish. And maybe just by way of getting started, you could just give us a little bit of your own story in terms of how it is that you got here, and what it is that you were doing, or how you segued into hypnosis, or however that happened for you.
Sure. So basically, I graduated from my doctoral program in clinical psychology back in 1986. And I had my first encounter with pain that didn't seem to want to go away, like in 1984, really bad back and leg pain, the old sciatica problem. And, the orthopedic surgeon that I was referred to was very insensitive. And in those days, they were pretty primitive as far as their first line of treatment, which was go lie in bed for 2 weeks, flat on your back, and rest. And, we found that that's very, antithetical to getting better. But, I'm the kind of guy, I have a lot of energy. I couldn't lie in bed, but I was in pain and I didn't want surgery. So I started exploring all the different other things that I could do. And I discovered transcendental meditation. I discovered hypnosis. And I started, I didn't go to anybody for hypnosis. Now, I've learned over the years that it really helps to go to a professional hypnotherapist or consulting hypnotist in order to have the experience of hypnosis, in order to be able to have a basis for learning self-hypnosis. I didn't have that advantage initially, at least. So, I just kind of learned about it, from my neck up. It didn't really have a trickle-down effect in my body. However, when I graduated from my clinical psych program, I had a friend that was working in an accident mill at a physician's office, an osteopath, where he was seeing, people that had accidents, motor vehicle accidents, mostly were compensation injuries. They were all claiming pain as damages and whatnot. And he was learning hypnosis. So I decided to take some courses with the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis. And I learned a little bit, but not a whole lot, not as much as I learned when I got involved with what they call the lay hypnotists, i.e. IMDHA and National Guild and so forth. That's why I've always been into building bridges. But I actually then went to somebody for some hypnosis to help me deal with my pain. I found it to be very helpful, and really I started to pursue it. I learned self-hypnosis. I used it effectively to help me to get my head on straight and to help me to deal with the pain that actually didn't want to go away, but it started to become more tolerable, and eventually it did go away once I didn't react to it in such a drastic way, because I thought that it was the end of the world and my life was ruined. I learned self-hypnosis. I learned that I could gain some control over the pain. And you know what? I started to develop a specialty, like a lot of people do when they're in a practice, you know, when they do therapy and so forth, whether they're therapists or hypnotherapists or psychologists, people tend to gravitate to helping people with similar problems that they have. You know, it's the odyssey to heal yourself. And I started developing a specialty in pain management, and I've been practicing hypnotherapy since like 1989, and always part-time, but then eventually full-time in a pain clinic. And I just, you know, specialized in pain management. It became a mission for me. So that's kind of how I got started.
Cool.
And it's helped me.
By the way, I'm hearing a little interference on the call. I hope that's not, is that coming to everybody, or is that just?
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it too.
Really? Let's see.
Well, I don't think it's you, Bruce. I'm just watching. I actually thought my microphone had done that a minute ago, so I'm not sure. No big deal. So we persist, as they say.
Yes.
So I think this is really cool, because what you're telling us, I mean, I know you've got this program coming up. Just to let everybody know, by the way, it is May 16th and 17th, so it's the 2 days just prior to the weekend. So again, same days as Sherry's. So my gosh, if only we could all be in two places. Well, and one day overlaps with mine. So if we could be in 2.5 places at the same time, it would be lovely. But I love that we're doing these as early in the year as we are, and doing 2 together so that we can get through this cycle before people have bought all their plane tickets. So everybody bear this in mind. You know, you want to be able to get down to Daytona a couple of days early so that you can enjoy these great programs that we've got coming up, or stay a couple of days late. Well, or stay a couple of days late. And then after that, you can drive down to Mar-a-Lago and, you know, golf or something.
I'm going to get off that subject and ask a question, if you don't mind. So chronic pain is a big problem in our country. Yeah, and I know this opioid addiction is a big problem in our country. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if more of us knew how to deal with this before somebody got hooked on something that maybe even they don't need.
Yes, yes. So is that a question, or?
Well, yes. Why is it such a pervasive problem for our people in our country?
Well, I think it's a pervasive problem because I think that the majority of physicians don't want to deal with people that have chronic pain. And in fact, they're not well trained, and they don't understand pain, and they don't understand what it's like to live with persistent pain. That's why it's a problem. And now we have this politicizing of this opioid problem, you know, and really there are a lot of people that have gotten relief and have, you know, taken their opioid pain medications as prescribed for years, and they get cut off because their physicians either retire or they get scared of continuing to prescribe opioids in an appropriate manner. And then these people are, you know, kind of like hanging in the air, and, you know, now they're forcibly withdrawn from the opioids, and they have to suffer because there's a few bad eggs that, you know, have ruined it for many patients that have done the right thing.
Well, it's interesting. I think I just heard you say that there is an appropriate opioid prescription, that some people should have the right pain medicine. And the problem then comes up if they're cut off of that medicine. Is that did I hear that correctly?
Well, I think that the treatment of chronic pain, and I think for that matter of other problems that we as professional hypnotherapists treat, needs to be multimodal. You know, taking medicine doesn't teach you anything. You need to also be taught from an educational standpoint, that is, a patient does or a client, how to appropriately use medication responsibly. But taking medication for anxiety, depression, chronic pain, whatever, it doesn't teach. You need to learn skills, coping skills. And in many cases, which is why scripted approaches don't work very well and are limited in applicability, people need to also be helped to get over the past and release old emotional wounds that no longer serve them well to hold on to.
So Bruce, does a person need to have like a person that might take your class, for instance, would they really need to have some sort of a medical background to really kind of understand what it is that they were dealing with, or how do you address that with hypnosis students?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Actually, absolutely not. The idea is this. My class is designed for anybody that practices hypnosis, practices professionally as a hypnotherapist, or for that matter, is, to use the term that you used before, which I don't think is pejorative, newbies. Hypnosis is an ideal, low risk, non-drug option for helping people to gain better control over chronic pain and to relieve suffering. And therefore, people can learn what they need to know medically. There's lots of places to understand pain mechanisms. You go on Google, there's books written and so forth, ways to understand it in a simple way. But in the hypnosis pre-talk, it's, and I teach this in my class, how to give the hypnosis pre-talk and specifically gear it to the needs and the concerns and the anxieties of somebody that's exhausted all over avenues for pain relief. And to relate to a client how well suited hypnosis is to help someone to learn how to develop a more amicable, if you will, relationship with their persistent pain. And that's leads into, the whole idea of taming pain, which, we can talk about when we get to it. But yes, the class is for every hypnotist. It's for every hypnotherapist and for anybody that is beginning the field, or as Sherry said, her class, it's a shame. I would love to take your class, Sherry. Sounded great. And unfortunately, we're at the same time frame. So, but like, you said, Sherry, like Sherry said, it's for people at all levels. Absolutely.
Yeah, great. And is there something that you can do to, we've got different issues. The state of Florida, for example, has a thing about that you need to have referrals from licensed practitioners and stuff like that. Do you got some tips for people to help them be able to connect with the medical folks they need to be connected with and to?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm a clinical psychologist. And so, there are some issues that are a little different for me, than for, let's say, somebody that is not a licensed psychologist or licensed professional counselor or a physician that's a professional hypnotherapist. And so one has to, first of all, be very up on what your state's laws are, and the ethics of the societies that you belong to. So, of course, if you're a professional hypnotherapist and you're a member of IMDHA, we have an ethics code and, and so on. So that's very important. Secondly, I think it is of paramount importance that in order to be ethical and helpful in helping somebody with pain to address their pain problem using hypnosis, if you're a professional hypnotherapist, whatever your discipline is, that you obtain a decent amount of background information on that client's medical and psychological psychiatric history.
Sure.
And I always make an effort to get medical records or at least have a conversation with the physician that is treating them, and certainly with the referring physician. And as a professional hypnotherapist, many states have laws that say that, you have to confer with the physician that's treating the client, and that's wise to do for many reasons, legally, ethically, and also to inform your strategy that you're going to co-develop with the client.
Laws notwithstanding, that's just a good rule of thumb for all hypnotists, whether they're doctors or lay hypnotists, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You got to have that coordinated effort.
Yeah, collaboration is the key. Collaboration with the client, collaboration hopefully with their treating professionals if you can, if it's possible.
Yeah, it really makes sense to me that you'd like to be on the same team with a person's doctor rather than working separately from them or ignoring them or trying to pretend. And I think that's one of the problems. Sometimes there are hypnotherapists that are a little too full of their own juice, and they think they know better than the doctors, and they know better than everybody else, and they don't want to consult with anyone. So we need to recognize our own limits and to be able to work with the folks that are the other half of this equation.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is I just want to add, because it's sort of germane right now, that you never want to treat somebody with psychological approaches, which of course hypnosis is, without knowing if there's a medical basis for the pain that hasn't been medically evaluated and potentially treated. You don't want to mask pain that could be, let's say, a tumor or something, or something else that's treatable. And so hypnosis has a place in helping people be comfortable while they're getting treated for a medical problem. But at the same token, it's different from, helping people to even at times overcome and completely eliminate the pain if there's a strong psychogenic basis to it. And it's already been, everything that can be done has been done medically.
Sure. And by the way, I hope you can verify what I'm saying here, but I think that once you've established ties with some folks in the medical community, the very first client that I worked with in Orlando when I moved to Florida, the very first client that I had was a surgeon who was having panic attacks in the operating room. So he was really grateful for the work that we did together, and he had a large practice, and there are people that he sent to me for weight loss, for example, because maybe their size made surgery prohibitive of some things that they wanted to do, or various reasons, and people with pain that he couldn't work with. They like what it is that we have to offer them when they get to those places with their patients where they're just a little frustrated and don't know what to do.
Absolutely. By conferring with a client's treating physician or physicians, you build referral sources and you build a team, and it becomes a great source of referrals. Once a physician starts referring to you and you help their patient, they start referring. You start getting lots of referrals. And before you know it, you have like 4 or 5 physicians referring to you that have busy practices, and you have a practice.
So if your phone rings and it's just somebody off the street who has not been referred by a doctor, is there a specific kind of interview that you do with them? Are there specific questions that you want to ask before you move forward?
Yes, and I'm going to, of course, go into all of this in great detail over the 2 days of my workshop, which I guess is May 16th and 17th down in Daytona Beach, up for you, down for me. I'm in Philadelphia. Basically on the telephone, what I like to do is find out, first of all, a brief description of the problem and what that individual has done to treat the pain up until that point. What prompted the person to contact me in the first place? Were they referred to me? Did they, see my profile on the internet? And then what got them to be thinking specifically about hypnosis or hypnotherapy for pain? That's very important. And of course, to find out if they've had any previous experience with hypnosis, which could be simply that, their cousin successfully stopped smoking by going to a hypnotist 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. Then I want to also briefly inquire on the telephone. And, my first contact with the client is on the telephone. So it builds the basis for the relationship and also qualifies the client, if you will, both for them. It qualifies me to them and qualifies them to me. And then the next thing is I want to know what they want to be able to accomplish, what they think hypnosis can do for them. And I might briefly clarify what it can and can't do. I want to know what kind of treatment they're currently getting. I want to know if they're on opiates and any other kind of medications. Let's see, what else? Pretty much, I want to know if there's a legal aspect, if it's like the pain as a result of a car accident, if there's litigation going on, or workers' compensation, because they're going to come with other agendas then, usually. And then I ask them if they have any questions of me. And at that point, I asked them if they'd like to set up an appointment. And of course, they ask me what my fees are and, so forth. I tell them. And a lot of times they ask, how many sessions is it going to take to help me get rid of my pain? And, I give them an honest answer, which is, I don't know. But we need to do an initial evaluation, which is the first session. A lot of times they'll ask, we can do hypnosis in the first session. And my answer is, I can't guarantee it, but I do make a concerted effort to do hypnosis with every client in the first visit so that you can experience how easy it is and pleasant, and you can have that experience. So yes, if most of the time we do hypnosis in the first visit, that's pretty much the phone call.
So
And you will take a client even without a doctor's referral.
Okay, so I don't go into that. Yeah, I'm a licensed psychologist. I'm allowed to do that unless, actually I think Medicare, I don't even take Medicare anymore, so I don't take it. They used to have requirements where even a psychologist had to confer with a physician. Then it changed to it's a good idea to confer with a physician. I'm going to confer with the physician anyway after they come in with their permission. I have them sign an informed consent. So yeah, we don't need to get into that on the telephone. And so they come in, and that's what we proceed from that. But I don't jump ahead when they first come in and immediately know, I don't know what the problem really is. And then I ask, can I confer with your physician? It's a good idea. I need to know your medical background so that I can treat you in the most complete way, knowing what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and in terms of the law here in Florida, at least, that wouldn't stop us from doing hypnosis with the client in the first session. It would stop us from addressing specifically the chronic pain issue that they had related to. But if we're having an initial consultation and we're wanting to show them what hypnosis is like, we certainly can do that, and then have them come back with a referral or however it is that we handle our referral thing. So we're good there. Brice, so you said in this you give them an opportunity then to see how pleasant it is, et cetera, et cetera. I'm thinking it would be nice, and we talked a little bit on the phone about this earlier, if you might be able to just share a demonstration of something with us. We have 23 people on the call right now. By the way, a bunch of people are going to get this after the fact. There's all sorts of folks who have got their cameras turned off. All of them have their microphones muted. But if we've got somebody, you might let us know what the qualifiers will be for who it is that would be good for what you want to demonstrate with us, and then I'll show you how to set it up so that everybody can watch it appropriately.
Sounds like a plan. So just want to say that in my 2-day workshop that I'm going to be giving at IMDHA in Daytona in May 16th and 17th, we're going to have a lot of experiential exercises as well as a good number of demonstrations so that people can see techniques employed and then practice those techniques with one another in practice sessions, and then have the time to ask questions and to troubleshoot, and also, of course, didactic lecture on my end to explain when techniques are appropriate and what's involved with the technique. So I'm going to break down all of the different, well, not all, but so many, but I'm going to break down the important techniques that I have utilized over the last 25 plus years of using hypnotherapy with chronic pain patients, clients. I'm going to break down the steps, and people will see demonstrations. So yeah, demonstration is fine. I guess, if we do a demonstration, maybe somebody has like a little ache or a little pain that, we're not going to get deep into anything, but something that we can do like a really brief kind of demo of, a quick intervention, I guess.
All right. So do we have anybody on the call that is coming from my microphone? Anybody on the call that maybe has some ache or discomfort or something like that?
You can go under participants and raise your hand, or you can type in the chat room and let us know.
Yeah.
And Michael, you watch the chat and I'll watch the participants, and we'll see if there's someone who wants a little demonstration while we're here.
All right. We do notice hypnotists tend to go into trance when we watch.
If no one wants to volunteer, I just want to ask you, I'm not going to ask you to do it here because it looks like we've got somebody who's raising their hand now, but could you, if I take your workshop, will you be able to get rid of my hip arthritis so I won't have to have hip replacement surgery?
Oh, God. Stop. The answer is no.
No.
But I can help you to gain more control over how you deal with it, and I can help you to get in touch with your inner resources so that the surgery is something that you're prepared for and you're looking forward to a very successful surgery and a great recovery and fixing the problem if surgery is appropriate.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you. That's a good reason to take that workshop the 2 days ahead of the conference. We do have somebody who wants something, right, Michael?
Well, we've got a couple possibilities here. I have just sent a message. We have Janelle, but Janelle isn't on camera right now. So if she is willing to be on camera, oh, I'm sorry, her computer doesn't have a camera. Sherry Gilbert raised her hand. I'm wondering, I'm going to unmute you, Sherry, and you can tell us just why your hand is in the air.
So I have a neck that I've had injuries to a number of different times, and I've had bronchitis for about 2 months, and I think I've re-injured my neck coughing, and so it's quite painful up kind of at the top of the neck, base of the skull.
So have you used?
Let me interrupt. Sorry, but before you get started, is this an appropriate one for you?
Oh, it's great.
Okay, so before you get started, I just want to let people know that are watching that you've got a couple of ways that you can do this. If you are probably seeing right now me as I'm talking to you, and as the speaker changes, it'll go back and forth. So it means that you'll be looking at Brice most of the time, and Brice is an attractive fella, but then there's also Sherry Gilbert, and you might want to see her as she is responding to the process. So the way that you can do that is if you've got little pictures of everybody, maybe across the top of your screen or on the side of your screen, depending on how it's configured, you will see Sherry in one of those pictures. And if you double click on Sherry's picture, it'll pin her to the big screen, and you'll be watching her while Brice is working with her. If you'd rather watch Brice, you can click on him. And of course, if you'd rather watch me, I will be making smiley faces the whole time. So Brice, I'm going to turn it over to you then. And I've got Sherry on my screen right now.
I got you on my screen too. So of course, it's very important to watch your client carefully when you're working with them hypnotically. If you're not script-based, as you said, Sherry, So I want to watch my client carefully. And anyway, so this neck pain that you have, you said, and the bronchitis, which has been straining it, I guess. You're a professional hypnotherapist. Have you used any self-hypnosis for yourself to get some relief from the neck pain?
Yes, I meditate twice a day, and so I've been focusing on kind of relaxing those muscles, softening those muscles, and having them feel better. And it's worked during the meditation, and it works for about an hour afterwards. And then I'll have another coughing fit, and then I'm back into a lot of pain and cluster headaches.
Now, I wonder, have you addressed the bronchitis cough in self-hypnosis at all?
I have. Actually, I was dealing with it in self-hypnosis, and then I went and I saw my hypnotherapist about 10 days ago, and I'm significantly better now.
That's great. So you've been coughing less, and has that had an effect in terms of diminishing the frequency of your neck pain and the intensity of it?
No, because I think it's a place where I've had a number of injuries. I've had whiplash a few times, and basically I think what I've done is given myself whiplash from coughing. So
as a professional hypnotherapist, and my experience has always been this, and there's no absolutes. That's the only absolute. There's no absolutes. I find that working with fellow members of the hypnotherapy profession, it can make the process easier in some cases, and in other cases, it can make it more difficult. I find that working with psychologists sometimes is the most difficult. I'm a psychologist, so in any event, because of the tendency to overthink things, and to kind of not experience it, but, like judge it from the outside. So let me ask you something. What do you think right now, without giving it too much thought, just what comes to mind right now that might be helpful for you right now that you could get from me possibly to help your neck get better?
Great question. I think I would like to just be able to let it go, and whatever belief I have around, I think I've got a belief around this idea that because I've been saying it a lot, I just realized as I said it here, I've been saying it a lot. I've given myself whiplash with my coughing, and I wonder if that's why it's still hurting, because I keep telling myself I've damaged my neck again.
Okay, so I listened to how you proceeded with your approach of checking in with one's unconscious to find out what the unconscious feels about something like this. Mm-hmm. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to invite you to take a few deep breaths and to just close your eyes comfortably and let them stay closed comfortably, and just allow yourself to enter a state of focus and absorption, and take a short while to just help yourself to go inward and to just simply enjoy taking a few moments of going inward with no particular focus at all, other than to allow yourself to become more comfortable and more relaxed and more at ease as you listen to the sound of my voice, and as you notice that your breathing naturally begins to settle down without you trying to change your breathing in any way, just breathing normally and focusing on the calming effect of your breath. Perhaps noticing that each time that you exhale, you feel a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more comfortable. And that perhaps the sound of my voice, regardless of the meaning of my words, helps you to become more relaxed. And you probably know the old expression that many professional hypnotherapists have learned, that the more relaxed you feel, the more comfortable and the deeper you go. And the deeper you go, the more relaxed you feel. And that's really true. And when you feel that you're relaxed enough, comfortable enough, and as we in the profession say, deep enough, to ask your feeling mind an important question, I'll simply suggest that that question might be what you can learn from this little exercise that can help you to begin to reduce how much you blame yourself for the neck pain, for the coughing and the neck pain. What might be helpful? And when your feeling mind has an answer to the question of, can you provide me with some guidance? Help me learn something important that I can proceed from. Then you'll know it. You can nod your head, because I don't see your hands to do any kind of video motor work, but your head is nodding yes. And so if you feel comfortable, Sherry, perhaps you can share with me and the group, of course, that's watching and listening, what it is that your feeling mind has given you permission to do or to have?
Well, what came into my mind is that my body and my subconscious are pissed that I haven't taken any days off in a while. And they're not willing to let go of the discomfort until I start doing that.
Isn't it interesting, Sherry? Thank you for that. Isn't it interesting how much information we can get when we go inside and ask ourselves meaningful questions? Isn't it interesting? And given that pain, we hear over and over again that pain is a signal. Isn't it interesting that this discomfort that you have had, that perhaps it's a way of your body telling you something important? I'd like to ask you, Sherry, if you could possibly ask your feeling mind if it would be willing to help you to feel more comfortable and get more relief from your own meditation and self-hypnosis, if you were willing to maybe be a little bit easier on yourself and maybe become a little bit more maybe kind to yourself, a little less of a workaholic. I don't know, but I'd like to invite you to ask your subconscious what it would like you to do in order to ease up on you and to relieve the pain.
It's really kind of pissed right now because it's seen my schedule.
Huh? Yeah.
So I guess what it's saying to me is if I will I think what it's saying to me, I feel like I've got like two voices going on, like my body and my subconscious. So
Sure.
my subconscious is being a little bit easier to work with, and it says as long as I commit to not booking clients on the days I have scheduled off in March, that it will help. Oh, okay. So here's what my body's saying. My body is saying that I haven't followed through with calling the physical therapist I was supposed to call. And if I do that, then it's willing to work with me.
Uh-huh. Okay. So I'd like to invite you to just take a moment then to just simply relax a little bit deeper and take this opportunity right now to focus your awareness on your neck and how your neck feels right now at this moment. And as you do that, just notice how the sensations in your neck change as they will. And perhaps you'll share with me what you are noticing whenever you're ready. Because your neck is certainly communicating with you. It's part of you.
So I can kind of feel all the muscles starting to relax and the discomfort coming into, it's like it's moving down. It's moving, softening and moving down.
And Sherry, what does your neck want you to do?
It wants me to do the stretches more often.
Uh-huh. And does your neck perhaps want you to perhaps think about how you'll do those stretches, perhaps right now, to get relief, increase flexibility, muscle relaxation, attention, very important, care, because your neck's been calling out to you. And it's been telling you something very important quite clearly. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it wants me to between every client instead of just twice a day. It wants me to between every client to do them.
And perhaps
It only takes a moment.
Mm-hmm. And your neck is precious and therefore deserves a moment, does it not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so we don't have a whole lot of time, but what I'd like to simply suggest right now is that you have discovered an important insight from your feeling mind, and that your feeling mind and your neck are very closely connected. They're both clearly part of you, parts of you. Your neck is clearly a part of you. Your feeling mind is a very important part of you. And the discomfort that you've had in your neck is affected by the way you feel, and at the same time affects how you feel. And so perhaps I wonder how this feels for you to imagine that you begin to listen to your neck, offer it the care and the attention that it deserves as a very important part of you, and as a part of you that informs you of maybe what you need to start doing or stop doing. And perhaps by doing that, your neck will begin to cry out less, and you'll begin to develop a better relationship with your body, which takes a lot of abuse when you sit a lot in our profession, and means that we need to pay special attention to self-care and taking the time in between clients, and perhaps even resisting the temptation to schedule extra clients on days that you had made a pact with yourself and your feeling mind and your body, where you said, hey, we're going to take off. We're going to take some time, not work. And then you work to make more money, or to just simply help more people, and you start neglecting that pact that your feeling mind has taken very seriously, very concretely, and then it has to cry out, and it has to let you know, it has to scream at you. So we can wrap up, and so that you can re-alert, feeling very hopeful and positive that you're going to take something very valuable from this. And I'm so glad to see that you really are absorbed in what it is that we're addressing. I'd like to just simply invite you right now to ask your feeling mind, your subconscious mind, if it is all right, because we need to wrap up now, and our time has come to an end to do this little experiential demonstration. Ask your feeling mind if it's all right to benefit, for you, Sherry, to benefit from the little piece of work that we did, and for your feeling mind to give you some help to continue to develop better care for your body, and specifically your neck. And you'll know, you're nodding your head, yeah. Your feeling mind is telling you that it's okay and that this is a new beginning, and that you already know how to relieve that discomfort. You have the skills, and you just have to discover that you can set limits for yourself and that you can direct those skills that you clearly have to your own self-care, because it's more important than anything else, because you need to be caring for yourself and doing the things that can keep you feeling as comfortable as you'll be, so that you can be the most effective therapist and hypnotherapist that you can be, that you are. Isn't that true? That's great. Well, I'm so glad that you volunteered for this little experiential demonstration. It really is great that you did. I'm honored that you gave me the opportunity to do this little piece of work with you, and I want to thank you for that. And are you alert?
I am. Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you very much. That was great.
You're feeling like you're out of hypnosis, if
Yes.
you will, and you're feeling sound in mind and sound in body and in control and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. And so may I just simply ask you, how do you feel about this little piece of work that you and I did?
It was great. My neck feels much better, and I'm going to keep my promise. I'm going to take a day off.
That's great. That's great. Good. Well, I'm sure that we'll be meeting. I look forward to meeting you down in Florida at INDHA in May. And I'm going to hold you to that, Sherry, because I'm going to check in with you when we meet.
Thank you so much, Bruce. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for asking me to do this piece of work with you.
Michael, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Oh, I was talking and I have muted my own microphone.
I was trying to read your lips, but
so that was lovely. I was saying thank you, Sherry, for volunteering for that, and Bruce, we really appreciated that. It's a lovely demonstration.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, having seen that, you know what you're in store for on the 16th and 17th of May at the pre-conference program that Dr. Brice Eimer is doing at Daytona Beach, this beautiful beach that is sprawled out here behind me. Now, usually at the end of the segment, I am tasked with the awesome task, the awesome stewardship job of making sure that we get in and out of here on time. And I have to tell you, I have neglected my duties. We are just a moment or so over time. But we have one gentleman on the line here who has waited to ask a question since you started, Bruce. So I want to give him a chance if he hasn't stormed off or
he's been waiting so patiently. Thank you, Dr. Bob.
Dr. Bob Levine, and Bob, your microphone is open. So if you have a question, go ahead.
Hi, Bruce. Really nice work with Sherry. I enjoyed listening to that, and the questions you were asking very, very pertinent, and great direction for her to see what she needed. My question to you is, when you're using hypnosis for pain patients, are you looking to achieve, how often do you achieve pain elimination with your patients versus just pain management, let's say?
Well, I don't achieve pain elimination very often. It's very rare that pain just simply disappears. What we're really talking about realistically is pain management. Now, pain management, you got to watch the words you use. For better or for worse, I'd say unfortunately, pain management has become associated with drugs. And, patients come to the pain clinic. Patients talk about how they deserve pain management, which they mean, their opiate prescriptions.
Right.
So I like to talk in terms of, to make it, to kind of separate, to distinguish between what I do as a professional hypnotherapist and what the physicians do in their 5-minute drug management visits with the urine drug screens, which are, of course, important if you're prescribing opiates, is that, what I can do is help you to gain more control of your pain and to reduce your suffering, making the big distinction, of course, as, we lost a giant in the hypnosis field this week, Michael Elner. And Michael Elner was, I unfortunately I really didn't know him personally that well, but I'm aware of his work, and I know that he did some wonderful mentoring of people. He was a wonderful therapist. He has this, Hope coaching program, and he has written about and has taught about the distinction between pain and suffering. And we can help people to alleviate suffering, because pain may be mandatory, but suffering is optional.
So your goal is to be a better pain management strategy than pharmaceuticals, for instance, right?
Yes, my goal is to teach the client or patient, if when I was seeing patients in the pain clinic at the hospital, to teach the individual skills and to help them to overcome emotional blocks to learning and using those skills.
And Bruce, this was a terrific demonstration, and I'm sure Dr. Bob and Bruce, this conversation could go on and on and on. Let me suggest, please, that we carry this on over some wine at the conference, because we have come to the end of our meeting tonight, and we really need to keep Michael to his word to sign off on time.
Yeah, well, I've already broken my word, but I will tell you, thanks for the answer, Bob. And just because people may still have questions, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, thank you. So you can certainly go on my website, which is bruceeimer.com. That's BruceEimer.com. And, you can email me from my website. It's easy to remember, I guess, bruceeimer.com. Or you can go on the other website, which might be an easy name to remember, hypnosisce.com, which is a website that I co-developed with Roy Hunter. HypnosisCE, continuingeducation.com. You can call me. Best way to get in touch really is to email me, and then we can, if we want to, if it makes sense, we can schedule a phone conversation. So emailing me, from the website, that's probably the best way.
Okay, and Bruce, the other thing that I have not mentioned yet, and only because I didn't want you to see me sneaking away from the screen, I have your book in the other room there, and quite frankly, I just can't do justice to the title of it. So, you have the pain control book that I have got. What the name of that book?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've written a self-help book called "Hypnotize Yourself Out of Pain Now."
Yeah.
User-friendly program for blah, 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 blah. That book, you can buy it on Amazon.com. It's a second edition published by Crown House Publishing. It comes with a CD in the back that has a smorgasbord of brief hypnotic exercises that people can try out and see what works for them. And also, I must mention that Roy Hunter and I are currently working on finishing up a book together, which is entitled Taming Your Chronic Pain, a mindful approach to creating lasting pain relief, which is a self-help book. And it's not available yet. Hopefully it'll be available at the IMDHA conference. And, we've been working on it forever. I mean, I've just been rewriting it. It's never good enough. But I would say that those are the, Well, Hypnotize Yourself Out of Pain Now is out. And the thing about Hypnotize Yourself Out of Pain Now, which is published by Crown House Publishing, which is, kind of good, is that while I originally intended it to be a self-help book, it's really kind of too complicated to be a self-help book, but therapists and hypnotherapists find it very useful as kind of a treatment manual. That's why I asked Roy to join me in writing another self-help book, which is going to be a lot shorter and a lot more kind of less, if you will, complicated. That's Taming Your Chronic Pain. So, if you're a hypnotherapist, go and check out that book, Hypnotize Yourself Out of Pain Now. And
Yeah, and really, I highly recommend it. It's a great book and very useful resource, particularly, as you said, for hypnotherapists and people that have been working with this stuff. So, well, thanks, Brice. I'm going to ask you to hold on for just a second because we're going to give you the great send-off as we did Sherry. But I just have a couple closing things that I need to do, a little business to take care of. One of them, Sherry, I didn't ask, and your microphone is still open, but I didn't ask you. How can people get in contact with Sherry Gilbert if they need to talk to you or connect with you?
They can contact me through my website or just email me at Sherry, SHERRY, at Illuma, ILLUMI.life. And I'm sorry, I was busy ordering Bruce's book.
and there's only 3 copies left. Everyone.
I'll race
you know what?
One of them.
I am going to venture out here on a limb. I'm going to state my cell phone number. And, again, if you're out there in the audience, and you want to confer with me, the best thing is an email.
Wait, Bruce, before you do that, if you want to do that, I just want to make sure you understand that this video is going to be posted on YouTube.
Oh, this is going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait on that.
Let me give you my office number. Thank you. All right, let me give you, you know what? My cell phone number is out there anyway. So my office number, and no, because Sherry, please feel free to call me. You don't have to email me since, we did this piece of work and you're going to get that book. Call me, all right, if you want. And, we can confer. So my office number, then I'll privately give you my cell phone number. My office number is 215-947-7867. And another way to remember it is 947-STOP. Stop the pain. That's what that stands for, 7867. 947-STOP, or stop smoking.
Lovely. All right. Well, thank you, both of you. It's been lovely having you here tonight. And Brice mentioned in his talk something I was sort of saving for this last minute, and that is that yes, indeed, we lost one of our best, one of our finest in the last week, and it wouldn't be appropriate for us to gather together as a chapter of IACT and IMDHA without acknowledging Michael Ellner for the contributions he has made over the years to our community and to, oh my God, to just about each and every single one of us. So that's really all that I can say about that, at least if you want me to be able to get the next sentences out. But we love Michael and we wish him well on his journey. So we will be here next week, a week from now. By the way, a week from now at the one more meeting just like this, except I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be on an airplane on the way back. Karen is going to be holding down the fort. Thank God she is there and capable. So she's going to be talking to Sheila Granger about the virtual gastric band. She's going to be talking to Richard Nongard about contextual hypnotherapy. That should be a really special evening. So please come back for that. And I want to remind you again that the virtual chapter has its regular monthly meeting on March 13th, where we will be speaking with Anthony Jacklin, the master of head hacking hypnosis and mystery performance. And so that's going to be a lovely program. And also at the beginning of that chapter meeting, we will take a little bit of time out to do an appropriate remembrance and acknowledgement of Michael Ellner, and we'll dedicate that session to him. So please come and join us for those things. If you're not already a member of the virtual chapter, join virtual chapter in the Facebook group so you can be kept posted about all the things that we have coming up. So now, get your CEUs from IACT and IMDHA, if you remember, just by logging on to the website. So now we are going to say goodbye. And once again, we really appreciate you. Thank you, Brice, for your contribution to this evening's program. It's been lovely, and the time has gone by so quickly. And I can see that folks are going to be really struggling with which of these two programs is the one that they're going to attend. But maybe you could be in two rooms side by side, and we'll find a way to. I could probably come to your program while I'm doing mine. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. I'll learn from the folks out in the California group in the next week how I can arrange to try a location.
Right.
And they'll say, yes, I should try a location. And so I'll leave it at that. But thank you so much. I'm going to open up everybody's microphone once again, just as we have done before, so we can all say goodnight to Brice. And thank you, Brice, for being with us.
Thank you, Brice.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, Brice.
Good night. Thank you.
I like karate.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.